You have now been granted access to the Global Entry Podcast. Enjoy your experience.
Jason Campbell here with my boy Dieter Cantu.
Yeah, man.
You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. Welcome to the Global Entry Podcast, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad. I've been a big fan of your work for a long time, brother.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you coming by, especially while you're here in Chicago,
Yeah.
handling a bunch of really good business for the community.
Yes, sir.
So how are you, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Trying to stay warm. Coming from Texas, and they trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm doing good. I'm connected with family and friends and catching up.
Sure.
Trying to enjoy the time here.
Yeah, right quick. I tell people all the time, those no state taxes
Mm-hmm.
sound real good until you realize the infrastructure shitty, and you
Exactly.
just kind of
Right.
live through that crisis,
Right.
man. That's why I asked how you doing, what's going on down there, what's the update?
Man, everybody's getting price gouged with their electric bills and everything, man. And we just got it where we didn't have to like boil our water and all that, man. It was a lot
Man.
going on, but we shaking back. Texas, they do bounce back, rather quickly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, everything's looking good, man.
Okay, man, cool. You're a prison reform advocate, juvenile justice reform advocate, criminal justice organizer, Maven coordinator.
Good.
Did I miss any other esteemed titles?
No, that's a great intro. I appreciate that. All those titles, man. I'm just, an organizer at heart, though. So yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely, man. So, tell for those who don't know, you have a pretty amazing story, which kind of led you to this calling, if you will. I won't even call it a career. So, kind of for those people who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, for sure. So, all my family's from Chicago, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
From 63rd and Carpenter to 112th and Vernon. My mother's from the north side. I went to a private school, everything. My mother had something called meningitis.
Mm-hmm.
So she had spinal meningitis. My father had it as well. And he passed away from it. And then we filed bankruptcy and, life got real. We went broke. What goes with that. My mother had both versions of meningitis. She had the bacteria and the virus.
Wow.
And so, she got addicted to opioids and a few other things. Discharged from the military, and life just got real, man. Ups and downs. I went to foster care around like St. Louis, Granite City, O'Fallon, all around Missouri, back to Illinois, Texas, things like that. Lived with different family members, and I just kind of had to fend for myself, So, yeah, man. So I had to fend for myself, and then one night, October 23rd, 2005, I went to jail. I got arrested. I was with a group of my peers. They were all adults, 17, 18, 19. I was the youngest, and I was in the back seat of a vehicle. My friend pulled a weapon on somebody, and it was probably like 60 seconds.
Wow.
So all you got was a cell phone and a pack of cigarettes, man. We drove down the street. Cop slammed us, talked to us crazy.
Wow.
And then me living that life, just sticking to the code or whatever. They told me 25 to 40.
Wow.
Or, I get 10. Or I can write a statement, whatever. I refuse all that. And my friend that was in the front of the car wrote a statement.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of stuff that he put in there saying it was premeditated and all this. And so I signed for 10 years. And my three peers, every one of them went home, even the individual with the gun.
Wow.
Since I sat down, so they kind of flipped the story. They bonded out. There's no bail system for juveniles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So from October 05 to 2009, like from the streets to jail, I just never
Wow.
came home. And that was my first
Offense and everything. And this was in Texas?
It was in Texas, Cowboys.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy, man. So, like, take me back to just kind of your mindset. There's always a this code and this fine line that we walk. I was watching an interview with Pharrell and Nori on Drink Champs, and he was like, "Look, don't do crimes around me because I'm snitching.
Right.
I'm telling.
Right.
You know. So, what is your perspective on that quote unquote code? Because I've seen. We were just talking about some of the big dogs,
Right.
gangster wise,
Right.
in Chicago. Some of the big gang heads in Chicago, and I kind of seen them.
Right.
Go against that code and tell on everybody so they get lesser time. Right. So I don't know if the code is really real. Right. I think it's a code that's pushed on to the people under them
for sure
to make sure that they cooperate so that they get off. But what is your perspective on that, having lived through that?
My perspective is, man, you know, people ask me all the time, you know, if you would have been able to do it different, would you have told? You know what I mean? I said, no, I wouldn't have told, but I just wouldn't have been there. You know, that's my best response, is because if you live in a certain life, you walk in a certain way, that's what comes with it.
For real.
You sign up for that. And I'm not encouraging that lifestyle. You know what I mean? I'd rather tell, not even a youth or young, I'd rather tell anybody, just, you can go to jail for a RICO act. You can get a picture of a phone call with somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what comes with that. You knew who you was associating with. Time comes with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that's my opinion on it, you know.
Interesting. Yeah, so you're saying don't even put yourself in a position to have to make that decision. Surround yourself with the right people. They say that a man is the sum of the 5 people he keeps around him. So you probably would say that that's a word, if you will, huh?
Yeah, most definitely, man. And you know, once I was in there and the experiences while I was in there, where you know, you see some of the toughest, some of the most, you know, whatever. You look at paper, they did tell. A lot of dudes out here telling. You know, and yeah, I'd rather keep a very tight. So I have a very large amount of, you know, acquaintances and a network. As far as people that are close to me, you know, just don't have no nonsense, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. How did you go into this situation and come out with such just positive energy, bro? Like what kept your mind frame in the right place where you were going through that whole ordeal, especially knowing that you really had nothing to do with it other than being in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Man, I've never told anybody that, man. So what happened is when I went to orientation and they shipped me like 8 hours away from home, and I went to another facility, there was a caseworker that was like fresh out of college, PV by the way, and you know, she used to give me like free phone calls and stuff like that. You know, she was cool. She was kind of close to my age, and she let me see my file one time. And she was like, I'm not supposed to let you see your file, whatever. I was trying to look at my progress, and I saw all these charges. It was like Grand Theft Auto and, you know, whatever, theft and this and that. And I said, why is that in there? And she said, well, it was put in your county. And I said, well, this isn't me. You get what I'm saying? None of it, like, my name is nowhere on this.
Yeah.
And so she sent it back to the Capitol, so on and so forth. And they were like, so, you know, when you went to court, it looks like you were a repeat offender. But that was your first time going to jail. And I said, well, take it out. And she was like, okay. They took it out, whatever, sent it back. And I was like, so when do I go on my bench warrant to go back to court? And she was like, you don't, because you signed a plea bargain.
Dang.
So she was like, that's your contract. And so I blacked out. Like, I totally acted out. There's a correctional officer by the name of Fish, what we call him Fish. His name is like Flores or something. And, you know, you just say racial slurs, all type of crazy stuff. You just, you know, wrong day, right person. You know what I mean? So I got the cleaning supplies. You know, you got to, like, have them open this little door or whatever.
Sure.
And there's no camera. And I had an assault on staff. I beat him pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then I went to assault take a fine. And that's when I found myself. So,
and how old were you then?
17.
17, man. And you shouldn't have even had to go through that, bro. Like, that's interesting, man. But that really speaks to your resolve, brother. That's an amazing ordeal. And so you find yourself at 17. I'm assuming make a commitment to yourself to ensconce yourself in learning and things like that. What were some of the things that you the pledges, if you were, the commitments that you made to yourself?
Really to just listen to my voice. I've always had a voice, even when I had to sit down. Nobody told me what to do. You know what I mean? So I really just said to myself, like, how can I motivate people to move in a direction that I wanted them to?
Yeah.
Because I saw that I could. It was just for the wrong things, And so I wanted to educate myself. I just, took time to learn, and really just kind of strategize and mobilize and transfer that energy for when I was released, after Saute the Fire.
Yeah, so one of my passions, probably my biggest passion, is mentoring. And, who are some people that you ignored when you were 14, 15 that were like, hey, man, you going down the wrong path, or any of that type of stuff? Were there any of those type of people in your life at all that was trying to give you direction? Man.
Like, my mother was gangbanging. My cousins were gangbanging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Biggie Cobras and Stones and all that. And then, like, I remember the cops would, like, slam me and throw me around and stuff. And, like, I had little weapons, they throw it. And they would say stuff like, we're not going to take you to jail because you're going to get a sitting number soon enough. And that was, like, the only type of counsel, I guess, that I got. So, like, I wasn't doing nothing.
Right, and you definitely not going to listen to 12, especially at that point.
Right.
I was on another podcast, actually with one of our fry brothers. He plays for Iowa State. Shout out to Jalen. He and Figureprint, that's his organization. We were talking about how our white counterparts and more affluent counterparts don't have to negotiate and navigate those type of decisions at 14 and 50. They worried about, going on dates and school and swimming and things like that. And we're out here trying to decide whether or not we're going to ride with the big homies who got the blick on them. Back in that day, maybe it was called the strap, or whether or not we're going to pick up the weed and the pack to get a little bit of money. And our white counterparts. So when they talk about inequity and inequality, just the mere fact that you had to navigate these things by yourself because of so much was going on in the household, is a true depiction and illustration of the inequality in America, man. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I agree, man. And especially, again, like I said, just going from like a Catholic private school to public school and just seeing like the difference, you know what I mean, where the support even in that institution just wasn't there, and just not having anybody to really build you up. I totally agree, man. And it's unfortunate. It really is, bro, because it's by design,
It is by design. It is. Now, fast forwarding a little bit, you get out. How long have you been doing this work that you're doing now?
Right when I got out in 09, when I got out.
Okay.
So I started picking up trash in my neighborhood and all the projects, and I didn't know what a nonprofit was or anything. I just knew, again, I can move people, and so that's how I started doing neighborhood cleanups. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Started off doing neighborhood cleanups, and what made you pick this lane, man? I mean, it's literally millions of brothers and sisters that get out of jail and they focus on themselves, or they, you talk about recidivism rates and things like that. But what made you focus on making sure that others, one, don't have to go through it? The ones that are going through it, here are some resources to focus your mind. And then also reforming the whole entire system. Like, what drew you to that? What made you, I said it was your calling, but go a little bit in depth on kind of that whole kind of discovery process.
I mean, really the pain, just really the pain that, hurt people, and I was very hurt, and
that's jewelry right there, man.
That's all I wanted to do, man. And so, again, once I was, man, they drop the temperature, they throw your food on the floor, so I'll take it from, they do a bunch of stuff, man. And you know, I was just sitting there in my boxes like after 3 months, you know, I was just like, man, I can't. Everybody in this jail is black or brown, like it's Latino, African American, bro. And I was just really like, it was just anger. I just channeled it. You know, it was pain. You know, and I wanted to make sure nobody else went through that. So once I got out, I went to culinary arts school. You know, but because I was cooking in jail for like 50 cents an hour. I thought that's all I could be. And so I remember just peeling potatoes, like 500 potatoes, bro, like in the bottom of it was horrible, and I was just like, man, just take a leap of faith and just do it, pursue it, you know. And so I pursued juvenile justice reform, criminal justice reform. You know?
Okay. Now let's take a step back. So can you burn still? You can still cook?
Oh yeah, I go crazy. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I did see a couple of your what's your favorite go-to meal? Mine's is lamb chops, risotto, and like a sauteed spinach. Just what's your go-to meal, bro?
Probably like a foie gras, hollandaise
Wow.
sauce.
Okay, I see you. I see you, man. You mentioned you were in prison and there were nothing but brown and black people. Black people make up about 13% of U.S. Citizens, and Mexicans are Latinx are about roughly almost 20% or so. But black people, in particular black males, make up the largest amount of in the prison system. You saw that firsthand, like, but what does that mean to you, bro?
I mean, I just see that, you know, a lot of laws are directed towards us. You know what I mean? You know, like, we're not stopping cocaine we don't own no planes or no boats. We're not stopping cocaine from coming in. But we keep patrolling, you know, the same neighborhoods because we know somebody gonna sell crack. He gonna get out and sell crack and get out and sell crack. You know what I mean? And it's easy to arrest him. You know, there's a lot of things where I saw somewhere like a tablespoon or a teaspoon of crack is the same with like a loaf of bread of cocaine. Like at the same time, like
That's
101
crazy.
ratio. You know, it's just a lot of things where and servitude as well. You know, it's like slavery, man. I did a lot of labor, and I looked around like, yo, it's just like, you know, it's a big white guy with a shotgun on a horse. Man.
It is.
Like, this is slavery, you know? And so yeah, man, a lot of things are, again, by design created us to fail, or barriers are in place for us to stay in and out the system, man, as well.
Yeah. Now, you touched on something that I want to bring up because recently President Biden just put a ban of some sort on private prisons. A lot of people don't know that there are some privately owned prisons, which is ridiculous, that people can profit off of one, free labor, but also you being incarcerated. Talk to me a little bit about kind of what that means, but also the accountability that needs to continue to be pressed upon the new administration to ensure that not only are there no more private prisons, but that the private prisons are shut down? As an advocate, talk to me about that.
Right. Well, I believe in criminal justice reform, but also believe in abolishment. You know what I mean? And so we're privately owned prisons, even like you know, there's a product called like Sheffield and Bob Barker and, you know, Michael Jordan, not the basketball, a lot of people think Michael Jordan basketball player, but that you know, they negotiate their contracts, man. And if you send me your offenders and my product and I mass manufacture, and it's a lot of trickery and wicked stuff going on.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Amongst their peers.
It's systematic. It's a game. It's
right, and it's and I also, you know, with Biden, of course, you know, I voted, but with whoever's in office, like, hold people accountable. Just because they're in there and they're doing good things, we need a black agenda.
Yes.
And they need to follow that black agenda. You get what I'm saying? And as far as privately owned prison, we know, you know, Kamala Harris and, you know, prosecutors and things like that. You know, we gotta, you know, challenge people to do things differently and think differently. You know, all skin folk at your kinfolk sometimes.
That's real. That's some more jewelry there.
Right.
So in the last couple of years or so, you created a youth books to youth program. Can you talk to me a little bit about that program as well?
Yeah. So my brother was in Bowling Green, Missouri penitentiary when I was incarcerated, and I used to ask him to send me books.
Yeah.
You know, and he used to send them from jail to jail. And, you know, I was decent with gang signs and stuff like that. He said, why don't you take a sign language book?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he sent me one, and I taught myself ASL.
Nice.
And from there, I was just like interested in theology and psychology and physics and everything else. And you know, when he planted that seed, that's what made me go off on a limb and want to build libraries in juvenile detention centers.
Okay.
So I'm in Texas. I'm in Illinois. Shout out to Judge Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Oakland, North Carolina, Wake Forest, and trying to expand to Florida now.
Okay, cool. We're definitely gonna have to connect the dots for you in Florida.
Okay.
You know, so why are these things important? The program involves mentorship, involves pen pals and things like that. But why are those tenets important to juvenile offenders, but just offenders in general, to have those type of resources where resources are minimal in a incarcerated environment?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times we focus on the school to prison pipeline and preventing youth from getting incarcerated, which is ideal. But also kids that are incarcerated, we need to formulate a plan with them while they're there and catch them on their way out and stay on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I wish somebody would have done that for me.
Sure.
You know, and so the books that we give them, it's not Harry Potter, it's not Dr. Seuss, you know, like the outdated books.
Right.
It's like Soul on Ice, you know, it's Measure to the Black Man.
Eldridge Cleaver.
You know what I mean? It's real substance, so you can be like, oh, I see a superhero within myself. You know, I see strength within myself from reading this. You know, he was incarcerated too. Malcolm X was, you know, incarcerated too. You know, and GD, prep test, LSAT, you know, whatever. You know, we really give individuals real substance in these books, help them create a plan, communicate with them until they're released, and then connect them.
Nice, man. That's so needed, man. It's really important. Now, one of my favorite books is The Four Agreements. What's one of your favorite reads?
Oh man, I would say Soul on Ice. I would say Measure to the Black Man. I would say I got so many. Think Like a Freak. I got a lot of books, bro. So right. I got a lot.
Yeah. I always tell the young people, you know, I'm not one of those guys that's like, man, I love reading, but I've read hundreds of books because it's essential to getting the information that's in it.
Right.
You know, so would you kind of echo that same sentiment, or are you one of the guys that kind of love reading?
I love reading.
Good.
I love
good.
reading. Like I gotta put my face in it. But I think the book when I was in there was I forgot what it's called, like Behold a Rider on a Pale Horse. Pale Horse.
I got it in there. I got it in my library.
That made me be like, what? And so you know, I'm not a real big TV watcher.
Yeah,
like
me either.
Man. So yeah, I've just fell in love with books, man.
Okay, cool. Now, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. So, this amazing journey. When is your book coming out?
Oh man, I thought about it. I'm not sure. I thought about doing like a memoir, like my letters and stuff when I was incarcerated, and like show the realities, you know, because I've saved like all my kites and all that. I thought about that, but like my story, I don't know. I haven't
Let's talk about that offline. We got to figure out how to really amplify that and monetize it, bro.
Right,
So yeah, we gonna connect on that. So you get out, you start being involved in the community. You chart this path on prison reform and being an advocate for juvenile justice reform and things of that nature. And what makes you go back to school? What
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
I just love learning, you know, and so yeah, like again, I went to college with a community college with a GED, and I had my tuition paid for, being a foster child, things of that nature. And I appreciate school for the network. Like if you really get the networks out there, like people all across the country are coming to the school.
Yeah.
And you know, just really wanting to learn what you're interested in was appealing to me. You know, more so than like middle school, high school.
Yeah.
Like that. It was more so, I probably went from theology to culinary arts to public administration. Like all my degrees are different.
Sure.
Just because I wanted to learn.
So, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You graduated from Texas Southern San Antonio, right?
Yeah, UT San Antonio.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
University of Texas San Antonio.
Yeah.
All right, and then you also pledged the most amazing fraternity in the world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, correct?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
One and only.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Are there any others? I don't. So I just wanted to make sure I shouted out the bros. That's pretty
Most
dope,
definitely.
though. But just like, so how do you socialize yourself to an environment like a university? What were some like social norms that you had to adjust to, being being incarcerated and now having to socialize with people and socialize just with women in general, platonic and whatever.
Right.
Like, talk to me a little bit about that. Like, was that a challenge?
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit.
It was definitely a challenge, and I think the challenge was just like not quitting. Like I took like probably 3 remedial math courses before I took like basic algebra.
Yeah.
And like 2-3 buses to get across town, just to take 2-3 buses transfer to come back for like one class. And it was just like, man, forget that. I'm back. Whatever. And I think that was my biggest challenge, man, and just really like realizing my norm isn't the norm. I felt like, if there was drugs in my house, like toxic stuff was all in my environment. And then when I'm talking to somebody in college and they're like, I'm younger than you.
Yeah.
And I'm about to finish.
Yeah.
That really made me be like, wow. And I'm trying to carry myself a certain way and I'm chest poked down. They're like, you're doing that in a college campus?
Yeah.
That makes sense for you?
Wow.
And it's like, it don't make sense.
It don't make sense.
It don't make sense. So it made me adapt. I mean, like everything in life, right? It made me adapt rather quickly and adjust.
Nice.
So.
Graduated from college, and so recently in the recent past. So am I getting this right that you have your own day in San Antonio and Houston?
Yeah.
How dope is that, man?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't know how it worked out. It's the day I went to jail and the day I got out. So
really?
One October 23rd and one on February 13th.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so what did they what was the premise behind them kind of awarding you this day in your name?
With Commissioner's Court in San Antonio, it's hard. Like, it's hard. They don't give those out. So Commissioner Calvert reached out to a mutual friend. It was just like, I heard a lot about you from the juvenile department in San Antonio, and I didn't know you were doing all this work. And so we wanted to award you. And in Houston, I don't even know because I've been in Houston like 4 years, and so the same thing. It was just like, want to give you a day, and just hard work paying off, man.
Sure.
And it feels good because when you're not doing it for it, it's like, and somebody sees it. What I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, bro. It's
and so you, how do you ride that wave and use that as a platform and momentum to continue to push the narrative and the agenda that you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so it's tricky, man, because I still battle with like not wanting to be seen. I still battle with like wanting to influence and then not wanting to be like,
an influencer.
Influencer, you know what I mean? Like I kind of.
I feel the same way, bro.
Right, so it gets hard sometimes, but it's needed because people need to hear your story and be influenced by it and to tap into your resources. Absolutely. So that's why I kind of I lean into it. Every time my day comes around, I try to do a big give back, but I do it more so to be like, I have resources that I want you to tap into.
And that's my advice, bro. Just embrace it and lean into it. people gonna say things regardless, you
Right,
know.
right.
So my boy Brandon Allen actually just sent me a meme, which is apropos to what we're talking about. He said, "Don't believe all the hype,
Right.
because you're not that good, and
Right.
don't believe all the cynicism, because you're not that bad."
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna come with what we're doing and the type of work that both of us are doing in the community, no matter what.
Right.
But lean into it. But I felt the same way for a long time. I was just doing all this mentorship and work in the community and giving back and scholarships and things like that, and I would never post it or talk about it.
Yeah.
And then somebody actually challenged me, like, it seems like all you do is party. And I was like, excuse me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, do you understand what I do? And I was like, oh, okay. I have to, promote myself, but not only to let people know what I'm doing, but to motivate others. And I get a lot of DMs, man, hundreds of DMs saying, bro, man, you motivated me to get active in the community. And so I think that's probably, matter of fact, I know that's the same thing for you, bro. So put it out there, lean into it. But it definitely, I tell people all the time, I would love to just post once a year, man, and go to the Caribbean and not deal with it. But it actually serves a good point and a good purpose. And speaking of momentum and things of that nature, you did a TED Talk, bro. So one, how was that experience? Really standing in front of all those people and communicating your story, something that was, you endured and persevered, but it was super traumatic for you. And two, why was the subject matter so important to talk to that audience?
Yeah, well, particularly for that audience, they, people that didn't look like me, and they needed to understand, the realities of their privilege, so that's why that school in particular. The experience was, it was interesting. It was right after I had to get like rescued in Hurricane Harvey, all type of stuff.
Oh man!
So I didn't even really like memorize that speech,
Okay.
And it was a different feeling because usually, I got a PowerPoint or something, and that light hits, you can't see anybody, but there's like 300 people out there, and you just gotta talk. And you just gotta go. So I have another one in Atlanta coming up. So
nice.
It was definitely interesting. It was different. So.
Yeah, well, definitely let us know when that's coming up so we can support you. I'm a strong advocate of legalizing cannabis nationwide and federally. More importantly, it's been very unnerving to see weed and cannabis be illegal for so long and lock brown and black and brown people up, and then all of a sudden it's legal and white people are making billions of dollars off of the legalization of it. So one, where do you stand from a perspective of making sure that the prison reform is also not only adjudicating some of those cases for weed and other drugs, but also making sure that they compensate them with companies and businesses. Because here in Chicago and Illinois, I'm working with a lot of, let's say, legacy dispensaries and things like that, and helping them get their paperwork together so that they can be legalized. But it's really important to understand how the legalization of cannabis fits into the reform aspect, but also moving forward into just compensating them. So what's your what do you fall on all of that?
Yeah, and accessibility, as well. And shout out to eOrg Chicago. They're doing a lot of work around that as well.
Yep.
But, no, I definitely agree. Not only release the individuals who have been serving time for these charges that, it's literally like illegal estate away, you know what I mean? But to compensate them restitution.
Absolutely.
Like people are taken away from their families for something that you can get pulled over with now, the same amount of marijuana. You get what I'm saying? To just have weed like in Houston, it's like you get a citation now. You get a ticket. You got to take a class. And just to think like people in Louisiana with 3 strikes and all that, like just for having drugs over and over and over, not for ridiculously large amounts of marijuana. There needs to be some real change, but it needs to have people who have been directly impacted at the table. There's
Yes.
too many times we make decisions and it's like nobody from these walks of life are at the table creating policy or any kind of systemic change. You know what I mean? So those closest to the problem are closest to the solution. So let them out, compensate, but also put them in a position.
Correct.
So moving forward,
yes,
they can advocate for others
mm-hmm.
with real influence.
Yeah,
So
real economic influence.
Economic influence,
which is key.
Right.
Bro, like you've righted the ship. You've done something that a lot of people aren't able to do. Who do you draw your inspiration from?
Man, my inspiration, Huey P. Newton. I mean, just people that I find interesting, Pharrell in certain regards.
Mm-hmm.
Huey P. Newton, like New Age, Old Age. Larry Hoover for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just what his enlightenment and how he transferred his way of thinking, and what comes with that.
Yep.
So, just people who are genuinely their organic self, and can still lead and step outside of their comfort zone, or just in different realms. Like Nipsey, like anybody else. Nipsey didn't have a suit and tie on every day.
Yep.
He was still like, hey, I'm in a game.
Yeah.
But save the shorties. I mean, save the kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Own your block. Like start investing. People that are naturally themselves, but can step into enlightenment and start doing things differently.
Mm-hmm.
People I look up to, bro.
Okay. Now, something popular that's kind of going around and part of the culture is the versus battle.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to throw this out to you. Which two artists or activists would you put against each other in a versus battle? Would it be Martin and Malcolm? Would it be James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni? Who would be in your versus battles of activists and laureates, if you will?
Man, yeah. I put Cornel West and like Michael Eric Dyson.
Ooh.
I put let me see. I put who's kind of street but no song. Man, bro, I put David Banner and Killer Mike.
Ooh.
I'll do that. I'll probably do that.
Like that.
I would say Malcolm and MLK, but that's kind of cliche.
Yeah, it is.
That's cliche. So
sure.
I put that's what I'll stick with. I'll do that.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting question just to understand the dynamics of the people that you brought up. I definitely even though Nikki and James Baldwin were kind of on the same wavelength, I definitely like to see. Somebody said they wanted to see Jane Bird and Candace Owens in a versus. And go at it education wise and politics and things like that. I thought that would be. I'd definitely tune in. I'd probably pay to see her. Jane wash Candace Owens. What do you like most about what you do?
Man, that I'm not tired of it.
Wow.
I think
what an interesting kind of quaint response, but real talk.
I get tired of everything.
Yeah.
And that's why. Because I'm curious, and so, as far as work, I've walked out of jobs a week. I don't know what's next, but this ain't it.
Yeah.
And this is something that's I enjoy it. It's stressful. It's fun. It challenges me. It brings me comfort. It gives me all emotions, man. And that's what I'm content.
Nice.
For real.
What are your thoughts on how athletes have really stepped into the light as far as prison reform and all the different things that you're advocating for? How does that make you feel when cats will even risk their own livelihood to step up for what's right in this day and age? Because 25 years ago, that wouldn't necessarily be the case. There were a lot of guys standing on the sideline when Rodney King happened and all the other things that were going on in our community. So what's your thoughts on these athletes like Tobias Harris? Shout out to Tobias, Josh Okogie, even Bubba Wallace, stepping into the fold and into the fight and saying, hey, You know what I'm saying? We're not going.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because you have a very large platform. You have a machine behind you. You know, if it's the NBA, the NFL, whatever, you have a whole machine that has put you in a certain spotlight.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So for you to say, you know, I want to kneel, I want to, you know, wear certain messages on my jersey or whatever for ball play, you know, anything, man. I don't care if you do something that's like change the header to your Twitter bio. You know what I mean? Like somebody sees that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think it's a wonderful thing. I think we need more of it. I would love to see more of it in, you know, boxing. That's my favorite sport. I would love to see a lot more of it in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, yeah, and I would like to see you know, our white allies and counterparts
Absolutely.
step up a lot.
Which is a major thing. Like
Yeah.
we need that. I was actually at Muse Coffee Studio yesterday with Brandon again, and we were just talking to this Asian couple and really telling them about like, yo, we need you guys to step off the sideline
Right.
and really step into what's going on and things like that. So that is an important aspect of it. You know, but switching gears a little bit, what have you learned most about yourself on this journey?
To what have I learned most about myself? I mean, really, that I can do anything I want.
Mm.
You know, when I really manifest and I believe in it, and you know, I just it happens. Like I don't know how, bro, but it's like everything in my life works out for me.
I believe that.
You know, and even from like being incarcerated, like nobody do nothing wild to me, and I ain't. You know, it was more so the time than the people.
Yeah.
You know, and just like getting out and everything I've asked for is come to me. I didn't know where it was coming. I didn't know when it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I sat back and I said, "That's what I prayed for."
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I asked for. So really just believing in myself and just believing in like you're one with the universe and like
Yes, you are.
it's gonna come back to you. You
Absolutely. The energy you put out is gonna come back to you too.
Most definitely.
What would you say to your 14-year-old self about this journey? If you
Man.
had this, if you sat down with your 14-year-old self, and what would you tell yourself?
Man, see it through.
See it through.
See it through. You know, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be hard. It's a long journey, but it's necessary.
Mm.
You know, because I don't think I would have had that light bulb moment, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think I would have been shot. Or I would have been in jail with a very long sentence.
Mm.
You know, so I appreciate the journey, but I think I would have told my younger self like just don't beat yourself up. Like I tried to turn to like a perfectionist, you know, and just like I would be so hard on myself, bro, when nobody was looking, you know, and working through all the emotions, and that's what I would tell myself. Just see it through. Comes with its part of the game. Poke your chest out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question. How do you ultimately want your life and your legacy to impact the world?
I want my legacy to impact the world as in my story, what it's turned into, and hopefully influence people to do the same thing if they've been through the same situations. Of course, I want to leave something. I don't have children, but you know, I say Cantu because I do it for my last name.
Mm-hmm.
Because of legacy, you know, I always want to pass something down, but you know, I want people to copy me, man. You know, like as of right now.
Use you as a template, as the blueprint.
Exactly. I want people to say, that's why I post everything like, oh, you do this and that leads to that, and I'm like, I'm trying to save you time.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I want people to really just know, like you can do whatever, however, and you know, just make it work and follow the blueprint.
Yep.
You know, follow the blueprint.
Appreciate your time, man. Thank you guys for coming in, man. And again, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. The Global Entry Podcast. Hope you enjoyed the listen.